I would like to call the meeting to order. If everyone can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone and thank everyone for coming this evening. And the first thing we need to do is approve the meeting agenda.
To make a motion to approve the meeting agenda.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Motion carries. Okay, 5.0 is community comments. Community comments is an opportunity for the public to address the school board on a school-related item in accordance with the guidelines that are printed at the end of the agenda that's found on the table, and we don't have any community comments. So I'm just gonna keep moving right along. 6.0 student highlights. 6.1 youth baseball umpire recognition.
So I was going to, at this meeting, have Shem Folter's son, Aaron Folter, come in. He wasn't able to make it. I think he had maybe actually a baseball game. I'm not certain, but I'm going to try to get him into another meeting if possible. But he is going to be a sophomore. Aaron's going to be a sophomore. And he is consistently at every Sunday and every Tuesday night Little League game. And what he does is, I did this as a kid, but not, I came up to him after the last game. He umps every game behind the plate. So he calls balls and strikes for the kids. He's kind of talking with all the kids. He's got good rapport with the young kids. Really good role model, does a really nice job. He had a few incidents with some coaches from maybe outside of our area, and he handled it just marvelously, and I just wanted to praise him in front of everybody and get him a little public recognition.
What was his name again?
Aaron Folter. Really nice young man, and I just wanted to recognize him here, and hopefully I can get him to the next meeting to show up so I could recognize him in front of all of you.
Thank you.
Great. 7.0 administrative reports. 7.1 principal report highlight item.
Thank you, members of the board. I guess I'd just like to highlight number 2 in terms of preschool extension. So we've had a daycare in town closed, and for a number of years daycare has been an issue in the community. We also know that for a number of our students with individualized education plans or long rides and transitions and things like that, having a consistent location to go to for the whole day can be of help. So we looked at this over the past month and put some feelers out into the community to see if folks wanted to sign up to have their child attend preschool for a portion of the day, and then once that was done, stay until school was out. We got not as much interest as we expected. We got enough to recommend that we run a half-day program for that for about 10 to 12 kids next year. And what I'm going to do is contact those families this evening or tomorrow and let them know that it will be a go for them, and then we can also establish wait lists if we need to, if a whole bunch of folks start showing up in September, and we can reassess to expand it more then. The location of that happening will be in the preschool room that doesn't have a section happening in the afternoon for next year.
So they'll do a half day of preschool and then a half day of daycare.
Yeah. Yeah. Here at the end of the school.
Who would run the daycare then?
Our early childhood special education teacher will provide the plan and the schedule for the room, and then 2 paraprofessionals will actually run the daycare in the room. So it'll be like an inclusive model. So the priority to the kids enrolling are students on special education plans, and then down a certain list. So. Thank you.
Thank you. 7.2 assistant principal's report highlight item.
I just have two short items. One, Tom's not here, but I just kind of wanted to recognize Tom. Lots of moving parts in the building, and he has just juggled it. He's just been amazing. And I just kind of wanted to take a brief moment to recognize him. And then on the bottom there of the report, we've been meeting, Bill and I, depending on who's in the building, we've been meeting with new staff coming in, and I feel really good about our housing situation. It's always a challenge to find housing. We had one of our new English teachers kind of struggling. I put out an all-staff email. Within 20 minutes, I had a response, and with 20 more minutes, she had a lease. So we have housing set up for most all of our new hires. There's one or two more that I'm not sure of. I didn't get an email back. But we've been meeting with new coaches and new teachers, and they've been getting supplies and kind of getting them ready for the school year.
Great, thank you. Okay, 7.3, superintendent's report, highlight item.
Well, if you notice, if you pull into the parking lot out here, things are moving and they're moving at a good pace. And I've got that, we'll be talking about that in a little bit, but Tom Nelson's been doing a great job organizing. Pam, Lori, and Tom just been doing a great job. If you aren't aware, our new office is over on the other side of the ACA here. So they did a lot of juggling and moving of things and just make that happen and organize at the same time. Kind of reduced a lot of things that, based off of scheduling as far as getting rid of documents, and so a lot of that took place as well. I know, Ms. Jansen and Ms. Lundy will be able to see it here because we're going to be going over after the meeting, but a lot of great things happening, and if you look overall the building, if you get a chance, you're starting to see things really come together. Yeah, just it's been a very busy summer. And tonight, 7 o'clock, opening night for Shrek. So a lot of people will be in the building this evening.
So Bill, just for our listening public,
Yes.
our viewing public, could you explain where the superintendent's office was and why it's not there anymore?
Superintendent's office was in the middle school hallway.
District office, yes.
District office, so
Yep.
the entire district office had been in the middle school hallway, and so we vacated that space. In that space, the nice piece about that space was it has a large room with 3 separate rooms. And we vacated that, and that is going to be now a special education setting. And because of the 3 separate rooms, that'll be able to accommodate students who could be sensitivity issues or just need a quiet space, a calm down space. And also time for if I'm the special education teacher and I'm working with a paraprofessional who's working with a child, they have a place to go, not having to go find a place in the library or out in the hallway, which has been done in the past. So it'll be a much more user-friendly location. What the district office did then is we moved down to the ACA area. I don't know the exact room number.
It's the old radio station?
It's right beside where the old radio station was.
People will know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's right next door to the art room. So it's a good space. The nice piece there is that within that space, there's actually a private space that we can shut the door and have confidential meetings within that room, where we really didn't have that type of space in our former office area. So with the change in location, more space. The other is that during the summertime, it'll be pretty much a straight shot for anybody coming in to do business with the district.
What door do they come in?
They'd be able to come in the ACA door or on either end of the ACA. We'll have some signage put up this year so folks know when they come in. The nice thing is during the school year, they come right by at the Eagle door, and all they have to do is ask directions. Pretty much it's just straight down the hallway and you take a left, and we'll have our little placard out, and so it'll be pretty easy to find us still. And it also, so then it takes us out of in the middle of all the kids and such. And so for folks coming in just to do district business, they're not walking through our students as they're
chaos.
in chaos. Yeah.
What was in that room? Was there anything in
That was actually a special education setting.
Okay, so it's kind of a flip-flop.
Yes, exactly.
Cool.
Yes, very good. Okay.
And then for goal-wise, a lot of it is somewhat related, looking at our positive in the school community climate piece. Diversity committee still obviously ongoing, but in the summer kind of took a hiatus, but they'll be back up and running in the fall. And The Viking Way messages I know you've been working on them already, and so they're going to be ready to roll out again as soon as school starts. So that'll continue going. The other piece, with the community piece, communications, that's another group that we've had. And since you're our board member rep on that, correct? They've kind of also taken a hiatus, but with some of the things that we're going to be discussing tonight, for example, we're going to be looking at the handbooks. We need to have the community communication piece laid out so we can get all the changes out to all of our families. Definitely our parents, so that they're aware of any changes and the changes that are going to be adopted. Credit recovery continued going on, supplied, as mentioned in the past, we did supply devices for the Grand Portage group, and I know that they've been heavily used, which is great. We actually have around 28 students participating in credit recovery this summer, so that's really nice. Actually, we were in our region for the Northern Lights group, or no, Northern Learning, we have the highest number that are participating in credit recovery, which is kind of neat to see.
Who teaches the credit recovery here?
We had Chris Hoffman was doing it, and then who?
It's me now.
And now it's Mr. Dorr.
Nice.
Yep. And then Ann Sullivan is the coordinator for the Grand Portage. Yeah. And then looking at managing our resources, obviously we did our budget, and it's July now, so you'll be looking at our long-term facility maintenance plan that we've been looking at, and have that set, and we'll be discussing that later on. And then our summer lunch program's doing quite well again. So helping out all this youth in Cook County, either if they're residents or not, anybody birth through 18 are eligible to participate, and they've been doing really well there.
I was really hungry coming through town, and I thought about, that free lunch. But I figured I was
It's not for you.
I know.
Just say you died here.
Yeah,
This is the new
playing in the
trend.
mud, which is true.
All right, thanks for that goals report. Okay, so we're then to 8.0, the consent agenda. Is there anything on the consent agenda anyone would like pulled for further discussion? If not, I need a motion.
I just had a quick question on the donations. Are those like people, are those being solicited in some way, or are they just happen to show up?
Some are grants that we've written, some are kind of ongoing. I'm looking at, one of them's baseball, and I'm assuming that was probably a request of an organization.
I missed the baseball one.
Let's
It's
say
Voyager
Voyager
Canoe Outfitters. It's
Oh,
a parent,
so-
parents, but yeah.
What happens is we run our youth baseball program through community ed. And so typically organizations or businesses, in the community sponsor a team, and they put their logo on the back of the jersey. Or they have bought like the banners that you'll see at the Little League games. And then that money comes into us and helps us pay for the uniforms and stuff like that. So that, it goes into a donation fund, but then the money comes out to pay for that with that same money.
Sure.
So that was solicited. However, like, just this month, a lady called me up and said, I heard the radio program on Jack Hausner going to state and track. I heard you need 4 hurdles. We'd like to pay for those. That money will come in, and then we'll use that money to order those things. So a little bit of both with the community ed piece. Some of that's solicited because we do run some youth programs in there.
For example, the robotics program, they actually have somebody on the robotics group that is their job. It's for the fundraising, so they go out to the community, and so that's when you see those funds coming in. A lot of grants are things that if they come across my table or Ms. Backlund's table, and there's something that's viable, that we apply for those funds.
Well, just as since we're on the topic, just a little plug for little micro grants. The North Shore Collaborative gives out a lot of grants, and we're often needing more applicants, and it's not a very difficult process, and there's you know, it's not for a lot of money, but, you know, I'd see, you know, $300 here, you need a little grant for $300, it's gonna especially touch a bunch of different kids. It's a pretty good chance of getting that, so I'll just putting a plug out there for that.
Where do you get the application, what's the mailing
On,
address?
online?
Online.
Yeah, it's the, I'm having.
Our administrators are aware of this and they do share that with their staff. We have typically gotten funding for some of our kayak programs, and the other is for Wolf Ridge
Mhm.
Mm.
programs. Those are some of the common ones that I know that Cook County
I think we did the bus fare, we granted the bus fare to take the, to a state competition for, you know,
Like
the
band.
grant for that, yeah. So,
Oh, for the language village, is that what it's called? Is there?
yeah, it was that one, but then there was, oh no, it was for like the science, you know, there was the teacher that had earned a day at the science museum.
Oh, yes, yes.
And they needed bus
Mhm.
transportation to get there, so anyways, just throwing that out there.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I will second it.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Motion carries. I have 8.6 to approve hired coaches. It's not on my green sheet, but in our packet, you see we've got volleyball for junior varsity, C squad, and junior varsity boys basketball. So it's not on our sheet, but I will need a motion to approve the hire.
Wasn't that part of the consent agenda? Didn't we
No,
just
it's,
approve it?
is it? Oh, it
I
is
think it-
part of it.
yes, I think it is.
I
But I think
got
it's
it.
in-
Oh,
The reason, because of the fact that they're not head coaches, that's why it's on the consent.
I got
versus-
ya, okay. I was confused. Okay.
Yeah,
well,
they're one-
clarification question though, but
Yeah.
then they also read the coach's handbook and have to sign?
Correct, they're part of the coaching squad.
Okay. Okay. So now we are on to discussion action items. 9.1, to approve renewal of MREA, Minnesota Rural Education Association membership.
So moved.
I'll second.
So are all the board members familiar with what MREA is? Minnesota Rural Education Association. They do a lot of lobbying. For example, we're looking at long-term facilities maintenance. They were instrumental in getting the rural schools what the metro schools have been getting all along. So now all school districts are getting the same type of funding for deferred maintenance and health and safety. And that was probably the biggest thing that they've done as of late. But they are very influential during our legislative sessions. They work with us. They call us up, they come to our superintendent meetings. And I've had them sit beside me when I've done some legislative lobbying. They come in and meet with senators and representatives and such, so very valuable as far as the resources that they have available, as far as getting data, and then also they know who, if we have an issue for Cook County, if we have a specific issue, they know what groups, what individual legislators that we need to go talk to. And like I said, they'll come right in there with you and support us all.
And this is a yearly membership.
A lot of it's based on our average daily membership rate, yeah.
And how many people do they have doing this?
They actually have a map. They're probably 75–80% of the rural schools participate.
No, I'm sorry, how many lobbyists do they have?
They have one professional lobbyist, that's all he does. And he's very well respected that's Sam Walsh. And then Fred Nolan, who's probably signed this.
Yep.
He's the executive director, and he's the one who I see more so at different meetings and different sessions.
So this provides us at least $1,320 worth of value in your
Oh, very much so.
And they do provide information. I'm sure if you get their emails, or you could sign up for their emails, because they do provide, you know.
Yes. Did you receive those?
I do get these
Do the other
emails.
board
Yeah.
members?
Do you, okay.
Legislative
You-
updates.
Okay,
They get
yes, they do
legislative-
legislative updates all the time.
Okay. Yeah, I get all the MSBA ones. So there, I mean, is there any sort of like intersection between the two organizations, or is it kind of?
They will work together at times,
Yeah.
depending on what the issues are,
Yeah,
but they do communicate a lot, yes.
Yeah.
they're friends.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they're friends.
Yeah. MSBA is for all school districts, Grand Marais is for
For
the
rural.
rural,
Sure.
So they do have.
which is everybody outside the 11 school districts that are in the metro, considered that metro area.
Gotcha.
So you can see their website on there, so if anybody's interested in receiving those email blasts, contact them, because they are interesting.
Okay.
Okay, so we do have a motion and to approve this. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Motion carries. 9.2 Culinary Arts and Science Room Update.
All right, so the science area and culinary arts corridor being completed to turn over to the school on 8/17. So that's just the corridor for culinary arts, I want to be specific on that, all right? So the
Meaning-
science
So the
area.
hallway?
The hallway, so the middle school hallway, we've got that back.
Okay.
They are using one of our rooms, 105 is one of the rooms that they've been using as an office, and then 104, which is across the hall, which was, for those of you who know, Miss Ober actually had been in that room. So those two rooms we haven't been able to access them for quite some time. So we're gonna be able to get in our crews and clean them up. Actually, we need to do retiling in the room that they were the office, and we're working out how that's getting covered. They've destroyed the tiles in that room, let's put it that way. So we'll have that back. Culinary arts area, complete 9/24/18. This is about 5 weeks beyond the scheduled completion date. Liquidated damages are $500 a day per contract. ISD 166 will have to determine if they want to pursue compensation from X-grade. So that's something that we need to have discussions about as a board. There's been discussion related to allowing 1 week extension of timeline due to delayed abatement process, but the contractor has not formally requested this. That's the one that makes complete sense.
Yeah.
There was a total week delay because of the asbestos. Other issues, roofing contractor damaged the clock system. Investigation underway as to how extensive the damage is. It's our belief that this cost will be borne by the contractor for repairs. I actually have the picture if you'd like to see it, but the nail came through and there was a wire and it hit perfectly.
We've been,
And then that hit to a transformer in our server
oh
room.
my word.
And so it was really more, I was not here, but there's a trickle of smoke maybe?
It kind of smelled bad.
It smelled bad. Somebody said there might have been some smoke, but the place smelled bad when it got right down to it, that electrical burning smell. That's what it was, but I was like, and just a shout out to all the emergency responders, they were here. And they helped in the process of finding and determining what it was. And so just a big thank you to those different organizations that were here. No injury. Damages, we're still trying to find out the full extent, but really it looks like it may be obviously the wire, but then just one transformer. So let's see. 3 missing fire smoke dampers from 2007 ventilation project that will need to be replaced. Not really sure what that's referencing. What's the 2007 ventilation?
That's the project that we pay for the equipment rental every month, that PNC equipment.
Oh, gotcha, okay.
Ventilation, that was right before I started.
So
So there's some missing?
But that's what it sounds like.
dampers. So if we find out, Tom has been on top of it, and so I know he's all very much involved and in tune to what's going on with all these things. Change orders. Current additional items beyond initial deduct are currently at approximately $39,000. Changes include additional insulation at the culinary arts roof to meet current code, additional lintel for new opening. Additional footing work due to unknown tunnels in the science area. So they discovered tunnels and they had to fill tunnels in there. Window modifications due to condition of existing blocking. And then owner-directed additional drywall and furring to conceal electrical work. So what that last one was is they were going to, we had a choice. If you walked into our science room, our walls were full of holes. And they're gonna look like this now, because we're gonna have sheetrock on them. And the nice thing about that, a couple things are gonna happen. Obviously, we're not gonna have conduit down the cinder block wall, nor are we gonna see weird blotchy areas where we've patched the concrete block walls. And then, because it's sheetrock, you can always do things to that you can't do to the concrete wall, so. And that is the extent of where we're at. The 5-week piece is something just so for board's aware, that gets us to that 924. They are looking for some verification on the sealant piece for the curing time for this epoxy flooring of some kind. They did something different, they used a different product, so the timeline should almost be cut in half, so that may be a full week that we're going to be, the construction crew would get back. And so, but the construction crew is not going to count on that until they get a letter verifying from, everybody's got, this company says, ours, the cure time says 8 days, whatever, and this one says, well, we can do it before. We need a letter from that company that our architect's working on getting that, because they're not gonna go on it because of insurance or not insurance, but warranty for different products. So it's kind of a balancing plates there, but if we get all the documentation, that should move forward, and it sounds like they're probably gonna have that by the end of this week. Colors were being selected, they're gonna be starting to paint. Actually, they're picking up paint tonight. So painting should be starting next week is what they're hoping for.
Did the science teachers get to pick the paint color? Since they're the ones that have to be inside that room?
We had the interior designer pick the paint color there.
Oh.
I think you were part of that.
Yeah. It'll match everything, really nice.
No.
We don't want the colors to cause nervous tics or anything.
That's how we get
This is
experts.
what she does. This is what she
That's
does
how
for
we
a
get
living. She does
experts picked.
schools, so.
She's
Not
actually
us.
very aware of that kind of stuff, she's very good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, she's brought a lot of those things forward.
What was the penalty again? What is it?
$500 a day.
So and we're gonna, it said something about washing a week away, so now that's 4 weeks, so that's $10,000. So
That's it?
They haven't sent it.
it's $10,000. It's a $10,000.
$10,000.
It's a fourth of our add-ons,
Well, I was gonna say our change
Yeah.
orders exactly, 39,000.
so it's a fourth of that. So you should really say, we'll wash that $10,000 if you get it done in 3 weeks.
What we found was,
Yeah.
if you recall,
They work
that we were behind schedule at the science room as well.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as they got that floor cured and they were on
They were-
There was,
it, bam, we're on schedule.
okay.
So I am anticipating, and actually I shouldn't say it's me, but Scott is his name. He's the main managing the whole and overseeing. His feeling is that we can take a week off of this, not counting the week that we would take off for the abatement component, so minimum a week, so. He's doing a good job. I mean, he's pushing these guys. If you didn't notice, just on the outside, you probably saw 8 people
Yeah, they were
out there
working.
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we wouldn't wait to decide to hold them to that until it gets to be August. And then so then who decides if we're gonna hold them to that $500 a day? Is that?
We may have a special
You're-
meeting.
Okay. I was gonna say, does that need to be a board decision, or is that just an
I would say the
administrative?
board should be part of that discussion.
Okay.
I guess that's my opinion. I mean, I can definitely just say, hey, it's $500 a day. but
Yeah.
the board may have
And then the
another, just like.
contractor should be there
Mr.
also
Gelb.
to explain. in
Mhm.
his
We should
own
have the
words.
contractor there.
Yeah.
Our architect there, and of course the board.
Okay.
And that would be
Because there are things
the,
that, I mean, they understand and know.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Just trying to.
But we probably wouldn't do that until it's completely done, so we would know, you know, cause
Yeah.
that timeline is gonna shift. They have this on like a project management software.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, they're saying, no, it's 5 weeks behind
Yeah.
because like everything
Yeah.
is like
Mm-hmm.
gotta, you know, this can't start till this, so it's just like, but, I would imagine that, you know, once the lady sings, you know, it's not gonna be the date that they have projected right now in one way or the other.
Okay. Okay.
And there's Saturday and Sunday. I mean, they might be, I mean, double overtime.
I mean, you're in the industry, I mean, I guess if we.
No one gets any time
If
off.
we
when
telegraphed,
just
like, yeah, we probably wanna hold them to that, then, I mean, that might motivate them more, or, I mean, does it make any sense to?
Right, wonder if it's one end or the other, it might motivate them, or they might say, well, we should cut some corners here and there too.
Sure.
yeah, we don't want.
We don't want
No,
that,
we
sure.
don't want.
It seems like, I mean, from what I've heard, they've been very presentable, very nice, very
Responsive
responsive,
and-
very.
Okay, and they're,
Professional.
and they're saying
Professional.
yes.
Yeah, Bill's been to
They're
those
here
meetings as well.
So they're
and
saying
Mrs. been-
yes, okay.
I was just telling Bill that the last 2 weekends they have been up here and they hadn't in the past. And that's the
Okay.
baseball games, that's like, guys work way in the back, so,
Okay.
so they,
So they're.
you can tell, I think they're aware of the deadline.
Well, and I did just, so the board's aware, and Dr. DeWitt might be on the hook for this, but, for Fisherman's Picnic, I asked, I said, a lot of times we get alumni groups coming through and they wanna get
Oh,
a tour of the school, and we may get community members here. And they said that, they would have it set up, so, you know, roped off or whatever, taped off, so we can't go in certain areas, but we could definitely look in. You know, science areas should be pretty safe to actually stick our heads and poke in, so we could actually take people and they could see where it's at this point. And then, I'm not sure culinary arts where they're gonna be specifically by Fisherman's Picnic, but might be able to see in there as well.
And one other thing, this was, when they were doing the hospital a couple years ago in the beginning stages of it, can't think of her name, but anyway, at the Grand Portage Wellness Fair, they had their big blueprints and diagrams and a spokesperson there explaining, you know, what was gonna happen and fielding questions, which was, I think was really beneficial. And so, do we have a set of plans that we could put out somewhere so people could, you know, is there?
Yeah, we have our, the mock-up, a drawing definitely for the culinary arts, I'm not sure if we have one for the.
But
science. We have
something like
science as
that,
well.
and then could they be put, like, maybe down at the public library or different, where there's a lot of foot traffic? Not that we have somebody there, but so people could look at them? I don't know, would that be beneficial? I don't, that if that's an architect? Would that
Or
add?
Where
if-
ours?
Or if they come up for a tour and they're
Oh,
not
the
able to
tour,
go into
abs-
the
Yeah,
areas,
I
we
think we
could
could-
lay those out
we
and
could-
have them
yeah.
available for people. They're, you know, if they
The
can't
curious
get
want to
close to
know,
those
yes.
places, I think it would be good. I think it's good to keep them on site, cause I don't,
Okay.
just so we have control over it.
If you wanna know about the school, come to the school.
Come to the school.
Yeah, come to the school.
Right. Okay, any other questions about that update? Hopefully, obviously, when we meet in August, hopefully we'll hear that they've been moving along. Are we talking about bonds? I'm just wondering, is the bus garage done? Everything done?
I thought I still have one last payment.
We have
to
one
make,
last payment.
Because there's some paperwork that has to come in from Ryan with that.
Okay.
And I don't think it's much, but it's
No, it's a
already,
smaller one.
but it's already accounted for in my money, because it was part of the bid from Crawford.
Okay. I was just wondering if we're gonna see the money showing, so. Okay. 9.3, to approve expenditure revenue report, May 2018.
So that is in your packet.
Good.
Shouldn't it say June?
It should say
Should
June.
say
Okay.
June.
To
Oh.
approve, for June 2018, which is our fiscal year. So I need a motion. Please.
Motion to approve the expenditure report.
A second.
Okay, discussion?
This can still change.
Yes.
Or it will still
Absolutely.
change.
It
Will.
will change. So, this is the time of year that I go and I start journal entering money to cover, let's say, a good example, the best example is preschool. I put all those expenditures in one bucket, but voluntary pre-K needs to come out of Fund 1, so I do a journal entry to move those expenses based on the ratio of number of kids that were voluntary pre-K versus the number of kids that were 3-year-olds. And so so there'll be some shifting, and then after I do my stuff, the auditors will do some more shifting, and so it pretty much keeps changing right up the audit. I will also keep paying bills that are coming in from last year yet, that get put into last year, so finances, so it will change. I think it looks really good at this point.
Two.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Motion carries. And then we have a bond update here.
No major changes in the technology and security area. Re-roof project, nothing done yet, but we actually have started, had our first meeting to discuss the ACA. We just had that last week, or was that this week? Last.
And that agreement, the ACA agreement, you mean? Or?
No, for the roof.
The roof,
The
okay,
roof.
for the roof.
The roof. Bus garage, as we just chatted about that, we believe it might be one outstanding but small payment, finalize that totally. Vehicles, haven't done anything as of recent. And then deferred maintenance, we did have some, dumpsters, art cubbies, art tables that was done in June. Some small items there, about $4,000 worth. We do have some of our equipment that's been purchased. As you can see, scholastic equipment, chairs, desks, desk dolly. So some items there. And then culinary arts, I know that we've put our purchase out there. And you can see some of those areas, Northern Technology, Stormore, North Star, ARI, a fair amount of bills there for the June time. We actually had that discussion of when we need the delivery of because we already have the equipment purchased. And we purchased equipment versus going through, I think we had that discussion with the board before, going through them purchasing to save, I can't remember, $7,000 to $8,000 just in taxes. By doing it that model. But you can see that we had some payments to ARI in there, and then of course, as I mentioned, the cabling and some technology pieces. And so that's where we're at with the bond.
Has Max Gray presented any bills, or have they?
Yes.
Or they have now?
So that report was ran prior to Monday when I paid a stack of bills.
Okay.
So, yes,
This week I ran a stack of bills, and then basically Steve Pumper reimburses us from our bond
Yeah,
account
they're-
into our operating funds, so it's pretty seamless there.
Yeah, you'll see some heftier numbers.
Yeah.
Now
Next
for the
month.
next report.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, 9.5, to approve superintendent evaluation form. So I included in here the first one is the one that Dan spoke about last time. And was it called?
No, it's a 360.
360? Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, so you would give that to people that are, you know, parallel, below, and above, is kind of like the theory behind that. So people that you interact with to get some. And when I've done these, it was like your supervisor would solicit like 5 pieces of feedback, like from 5 different people, kind of a thing, that they would select. And I think they may even had us like help select the people. So, but I found that to be a pretty effective way, just because you're, we have one point of view,
Yeah.
you know, which is, you know, different than a lot of the point of views out there, maybe. So yeah, this was the one that I've used before, so, but it's just kind of like the idea.
And then I just included the one that we had used before, previously it's just called the superintendent evaluation form that, that's the one we used probably the last time.
Yes.
We did an evaluation, so.
Well, and this piece was like supplementary to an evaluation, like the one that you included. It was like both parts. It was like your supervisor kind of like evaluated you on all these criteria, kind of like this one, and then in addition to that, so. Yep. So I wouldn't propose it being like the only way to do it.
So I guess it's supposed to be to approve the evaluation form. Are you suggesting to approve both of these forms as?
Well,
Well, yeah,
I
you
talked to
could do-
Dr.
you could do
Crandall.
one, you could do
Yes.
both.
So I
That's
put
right,
both
yeah.
of them in there as an example of what do we want to do, and like you said, the 360 one, that I think is a lot more value to give to the district office staff and our principals. I think that would probably be a good one, and then the other one maybe for board members, but I asked Dr. Crandall what his preference, if he had a preference on what method to use, because, you know, we can determine, and if we decide we don't want to do either of these forms, we can choose to do something more like 3 strengths, 3 weaknesses, something like that. But I wanted to give a couple different options and also have Dr. Crandall decide what, because, you know, we want to make sure we give him, it's a useful tool that he can use for setting goals, because then after we do the evaluation in August, then September, then we will talk about the school goals that we, you know, I think September is a good time to look at that. So I just want to make sure we have something that that you find useful, and that we're not just, you know, wasting time. So I don't know if you want to.
Oh, I think the 360 one, because that, I mean, it's asking basically 2 straightforward questions.
Yeah.
And that would definitely list out areas of needed growth, and I think that would definitely get some value. Like you mentioned, the principals, district office staff are the folks that would do that, but as board members, I mean, look, you know, Deb, Chris, and Sissy, you guys have done a number of times. You know, Carrie, you've done it about twice now, so. Where do you see value as far as providing information? Do you see the form that we've done in the past viable or worthwhile, or would you
Well,
like
I
to do
like
something?
The 360, because that's really vital. I mean, you and I don't really have to get along, but, you know. But you really have to function well with the staff, with the team. I mean, that is ultimately what needs to work. And so what I find on our evaluations, what's really good ultimately, is the fact that we have a conversation as a group about job performance and what's, you know, it's not real, it's structured, but it ends up not being all that structured, so.
Right.
And we did just renew your contract, so that says something too, so. But I do like you getting to have input from your underlings.
Oh,
And so.
now you call them underlings.
about the
That's
same
gonna
thing.
From your immediate team
Yes.
Yeah.
that supports, you know,
Yeah.
that you talk to. So I was wondering if anyone was paying attention. Only
We're paying
A
attention.
couple people.
So I guess as board members,
Yeah.
which model would you like? Would you, you know,
I agree with Deb. I like the 360 approach right now. The other form, I was gonna say, is too much.
Yeah.
There's
Oh,
too
we
many-
can pick and choose
there's
out of
too
it.
many-
It is very,
but you might want to
Thorough.
use that, you might want to have that sitting, you know,
Yes.
next to while you're looking.
Yeah.
You could
Oh,
do something
yeah.
like that.
Yes.
There's some in there.
Yeah.
Just as a reference, not that you
Yeah.
have to do something for every one
Yeah.
of those, you know,
But it-
11, 12 areas.
it does provide some comments to provoke questions that may help you fill out the 360
Right.
form, I think, because it's like, oh, I'm not really sure what to write.
Yep.
It does, so
Okay.
that's part of the reason why I put both of them in there, because sometimes the other one is super detailed, super detailed. But it brings up questions that I think,
So maybe
Yeah.
the second one for reference, to know what, you know.
To help
I feel
you
like
fill
the
out the
last
first
time that I
one.
filled this out, I don't know how many things I circled unknown, because I'm not
Oh.
standing over Dr. Crandall every day seeing,
right.
seeing
Right.
what he does, all these like nitpicky things, you know?
yeah.
And I like that the 360 concept is kind of more full picture, and I think that it would be great to have at least the people he directly interacts with in the office and the two principals fill them out, but I think it'd be good to have a perspective from other staff, you know, even if it's just a sprinkling of, you know, the maintenance staff and the paras and the teachers, just more for your growth and, you know, what perspectives are out there and how can you best meet
Do
the
you talk
perceived
to the
needs.
teachers? Do you have much interaction with the teachers?
Little, very little.
Well, yeah, chain of command, they go to principals.
Oh,
and
does-
then-
yeah.
Yeah, so,
I mean, when I'm here, I typically, I try to get into at least 1 or 2 classrooms every time I'm here, but
Right, right.
that's not guaranteed, because sometimes I'm just meeting.
And we did have that survey about like how is the model working, so,
Yeah, well,
you know, staff
I don't
had the
think-
opportunity to express themselves at that time as well.
And then when there's needed, you know, with paras, for example, we have a position called lead para.
Mhm.
And so, and I check in, that's Julie Nelson, and so I check in with her. Tom runs the facilities group, so, but they do see Greg, because he usually pops in while I'm in the office typically.
And those are the- because I wouldn't expect Dr. Crandall to be down in kindergarten at all for any amount
I
of
do
time.
read to them once a week.
Do you?
good job.
So one of the other things probably worth pointing out about the 360 and my experience with it was done in confidence
Yeah.
unless you like wanted, you know, some people chose to like voluntarily like, you know, CC the person and say, here's my evaluation of you. But I mean, you don't, in order to have the best effect, I mean, you don't want to have like fear of retribution or people just, you know, feeling like they're can't be as honest as they maybe would
Well,
be.
if you're evaluating the boss, there's always that fear of-
Totally.
So my plan, what to do is to provide this to that staff, and then either they can type it or they can handwrite it, and it will come only to me. And so that's why I wouldn't even do it, I wouldn't want people to do an email. So I just have an envelope confidentially in the district office, and then I would get those and I would have those, and then, you know.
You tabulate it or?
I would say I
summarize it,
could
someone should-
summarize it, or I could provide it for everyone to review, but I would look at it and maybe try to summarize, not that, this is not my forte, I'm not a HR person, but, I could summarize it or provide, or have copies for everyone, you know, consolidate everything into one
So we could come in and
document.
read a copy? I mean, we could come in
Yes,
and.
we could
so
come in,
don't-
but I definitely agree with you, because sometimes people really don't share their honest and true feelings if they know that either I'm gonna know it's them, or Dr. Crandall's gonna find out, so I wanna make sure that people are comfortable in doing it, because that's how we get the best review.
Yeah,
totally.
You know, it's
So-
really
so
a
that's my-
sad statement, however. I mean, because in this setting, I want
Yeah.
us to be a team,
Yeah,
understanding we're all human and make mistakes, you know, but it's not personal, it's all for our
Yeah.
kids, so.
It's
I mean,
just
I
really
get that
hard
it's-
for some
it's
people, I
truth,
agree
but-
with you, but to
Right.
make sure that everyone has that comfort level.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's important to do, and, just so people are doing it, because, you know, I agree, sometimes it's hard though, even though, you know, you're great, you're friends, but it's still your boss, and so sometimes that's, you know, difficult for some people, so. Not for all people.
Well, and I can speak from experience that when
Yeah.
you do that, but sometimes there's some repercussions. like-
Yes, right, right.
And then you don't have a job anymore, those
Okay.
types of things.
All right, so I'm hearing that everybody's game for the 360. So we'll get that, distribute that to our principals, district office staff, which includes Pam, Lori, and then Tom, our facilities. Those are the people that I'm thinking. I'm,
Can you think of anybody else?
or Dr. Crandall, I'm looking at you.
The other person I would,
Direct.
you know, the other 3 people I supervise will be our nurse, food service, and technology.
Okay. So,
Maybe like a representative from the teaching staff might not be a bad idea. I mean, it's not as
Oh.
much contact, but I don't know.
See what they see.
okay.
Yeah, I just like all the perspectives.
Might be Mr. McCubey, who's
The
the
CCDA.
he's the outgoing.
Okay.
But Julie Bishop is the new, but I mean, I've had contact with Julie, but.
I would probably ask our principal to
Yeah, I
figure that out for
we
us.
were interested
Who?
when you worked with the most there.
Yeah, Mike
Okay.
would have been the one I worked with the most.
Okay.
Next year
Wasn't
you
long.
do.
Next
Okay.
year is, yeah, I've already
Okay.
trying to set
So-
up a meeting with her, so.
Representative from the teaching staff.
And then Julie Nelson is the para,
Lead.
lead para.
Do you want me to do a representative from the
Well,
para?
I
just-
think it's good to have all perspectives.
Is that it?
More data.
Okay. And Dr. Crandall mentioned a couple of those direct reports. Would you like that included?
Yes, please.
Okay, so nurse.
Technology and food
Technology,
service.
okay. And I'm gonna ask help from our district office to
Yeah,
make
if
sure we
actually,
get that.
if you put a list together,
Yeah.
then Pam just has the envelopes.
And she can just do it.
Okay, Lori put hers in, click, you know.
Okay, because I know some of these
Carries.
people are not necessarily around for the summer,
Right.
but we can communicate with them if
Mhm.
their availability, and if they choose not to, that's okay too. But I wanna make sure.
And what
someone
about-
wants to
We
do it.
stalk them for it or anything.
Right, right.
What about like the social worker or our counselor who's gone? That would go to.
Yep,
If they were
And I
doing
would think
360, it would be.
if you could
would be
find
for
Chris
these guys.
Hoffman, because he worked with Dr. Crandall, as opposed to our new one.
No, they're
But
the
that.
direct supervisor, but yes, I did work with Chris.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve the superintendent evaluation form as the 360
okay, thank you, Chris.
with, what'd you call it?
Former
second- the
student
former-
superintendent evaluation form.
As a guide.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, and I needed a second.
I'll second that.
And so then the plan will be to get that distributed, and then we'll have a closed session in August. And then we'll go over that.
Will that be on the 16th then?
Yes.
Yes, and you're not gonna be here.
I don't
Oh.
know, I'm
You
gonna try
may
to.
not be here.
I don't think we'll leave until Friday.
Okay,
I'm thinking.
okay.
I think it's important to have a full board.
I agree. So if that's not gonna work,
I'll know soon.
okay.
So,
So-
Go plan it like we're
We'll
gonna
plan
do
it, but if, yeah, it's important to have a full board when we do that. If not, we'll just move it to September.
And there might be a special meeting.
Oh, we have a
just
special meeting.
Heard.
There you go. Yeah.
One other question about
Yes.
the other form, is that, what was the origin of that? Was that like an MSBA thing?
MSBA.
Okay.
Yes.
Sure,
Yeah.
okay.
they have a multitude of forms to pick from.
Sure. Well, I think, I mean, this is super great for
Yeah.
like, oh, these are things that you should be aware of. Yeah, I mean, it's nice to
Yes.
know, yeah.
It's a reference
Yeah.
document, I know it's a lot. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Motion carries. 9.6, to approve Cook County Schools handbooks. I'm just gonna do that as a lump, because we're not doing them all individually.
Yeah, so
Which is
the,
fine.
you know,
So if I can have a motion,
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
okay, discussion.
So, board, we did get those out to you back in June. Most updated, and I know that Dr. DeWitt had some communications with some of the board members. There were some typos and some other things that you addressed with him. I'll let you speak to some of those concerns.
Yeah, so the handbook's up for approval. There's employee handbook, which covers all the staff, including myself, and pairs, and bus drivers, and everybody. Faculty, which is the teacher handbook. There's a middle school, high school handbook, and then a Sawtooth Elementary handbook, and then a coach's handbook too. This is the time where we update all of those. A couple things that have happened since I provided those out for initial review. Mr. Pete James, myself, went on the radio and asked for some feedback from the community as a whole. We pushed it out to parents and people. I received about 5 responses, and a couple shared a couple concerns to take into account, and 3 or 4 were positive. I just got off an email from Mr. James over at Great Expectations. They did not get a quorum of board members, so they could not approve anything tonight at their board meeting. But they're all very positive about it, so we expect that to be approved there in a couple weeks for the attendance policies. Yeah, the big changes are in the staff handbook. There's some changes in regards to social media posting, how to be professional in a school, and how you use social media, and representing your school the right way, yourself the right way, how to relate to students and things like that. Inside the staff handbook as well, there's a new line in the policy about use of cell phones. And so I recently, I say recently now, it's probably been 5 or 6 months actually, but I'm still learning this thing. And ever since I've got this, I'll be at home myself, and I'll be going like this, and my daughter will notice. And she knows when I'm not paying attention, and so do our kids. And so that's in there talking about, the proper time to check your phone and to use your phone is if you're on a lunch break or you're, not my phone.
Sorry, that's mine. Sorry about that.
Okay. This is gonna be a priceless moment if it was your
Yeah,
phone.
well, Danny, thanks for the demo.
Yeah, so they always have one thing. So during your prep period, when no kids are in your room or in your lunch breaks, good time to check your phone.
Okay.
In the middle school, high school, and elementary handbooks, all the dates and names and things like that changed. But one in the elementary was that if your child attends kindergarten, they're early enrolled, you have a school somewhere in the state, they're authorized to come into first grade, and that wasn't clear in the handbook. There's also a cell phone policy and attendance policy. So the attendance policy is the one we developed jointly with Great Expectations School. We're hoping that Oshkosh, Ogama, and Birch Grove also adopt it. But the biggest change in that was simply when we excuse an absence. Now we're saying that if we don't have documentation, once we receive 9 excused absences in a semester, it's about 10% of the semester, then we'll start making you unexcused unless we get documentation that you went to this or went to that. And the reason for that was so that we avoid discriminating or judgment calls that are incorrect with certain families or other families. And it helps get family support sooner so the kids are in school. We appreciated all the feedback on that. I think most of the feedback we got can be addressed in the policy as written. There's still administrative discretion in the policy. But I think it will help get kids and families help earlier. And I think it's a good thing that Great Expectations School as well is adopting the same one, that it allows consistency between families, because families have kids at both schools. The cell phone policy is there to also mirror what kids experience at Great Expectations, and that is that phones have a place. They're for communication. When you're at school, you're here to learn. They can have their phones in the bus or on the way to school, and they enter the building, the phones are off, and then midday, on the way to lunch, they can check for messages, for after-school plans, whatever it is, and then put them back away. Along with that change in there, we addressed some of the previously kind of harsh language in terms of how we deal with cell phones. In the past, it's been, you know, you get a chance and another chance, and all of a sudden, we keep it from you and are safe in the office till the end of the week. And that was a big concern for families because they couldn't communicate at sports and things. So now the go-to is going to be if the student's using it at the wrong time, we're going to ask the student just simply go down to our ADSYS room, and we're going to hopefully have some type of cell phone lockers down there, and they can put it in their own locker and keep their own key and come get it.
Is the entire board doing this? or-
Yes, I
Oh,
was
yeah,
wondering what
there's
this
an
was.
example. There's all sorts of them out there. There's
Okay.
some that are like acrylic clear ones, some of them have little plug-in charging stations and stuff. But the idea is that we're teaching young people how to use their devices, and if they're having a hard time with that, we're not gonna make them feel terrible by taking it. We're gonna give them this resource. Well, go over here, put it in the locker, lock it up, and get it at the end of the day. And it kind of prevents a power struggle, taking a student's device. A lot of times they're using it maybe for not the best reason, sending a text to a girlfriend or something. They don't want anybody to see it and stuff, and so they don't want to give that up to you. So I think it's a good way to avoid that kind of conflict and help them learn how to control themselves. So I'm in support of it. I think it also, you know, kids coming from that school to this school makes it all the same. So those are the biggest ones in there. I don't know if there's anything in the coach's handbook you wanted to highlight, Mr. Dorr, if there's big changes or.
Not a lot of big changes in the coach's handbook, but I have gone over it with the coaching staffs this summer. I've asked them all to meet with me, and so they all know that we'll have an evaluation process and that I will be more active at practices, observing how they interact with athletes, encouraging them to communicate more with parents and of that nature. So there's not a lot of language changes, but we are emphasizing the evaluation process this year and following through with that.
Question?
If I could touch on the cell phone thing, because I think it's a hot button issue. I have not gone to a Little League game yet without talking about cell phones with parents. And I can honestly say that I have had almost universal support. There are parents that are very excited, and in a way they feel like we're going to help them on the home front. That's a lot of the feedback I've gotten, is that this is going to help them with their limits at home by us having limits. And I know that might sound a little backwards, but I think sometimes parents feel like they're in a silo to themselves, especially if they don't have a lot of support. And I've had a lot of really good dialogue with parents. So very, very encouraged by that dialogue that I've had this summer.
How many of our students do not have a smartphone?
It kind of depends on which age you're at.
Well, like middle school up, I mean, is it like everyone has one?
I would say that in my son's 7th grade class last year, there was approximately 40 students, and I'd say 5 or 6 didn't.
Wow.
Kind of starts in
10 to 20%, I'd say don't.
There's some very, very young kids that have it just with a couple numbers in it for emergencies, but you start to see it kind of get over the halfway mark in 5th, 6th grade, and then, but every year it kind of goes a little younger. You know, a few more get it younger and younger. Some of them don't work. Some of them just have a phone and it doesn't do anything, but they have it. So.
My nephew who brings his gaming device, it's his mom's old phone. Does not connect it to anything.
So one concern I have with the cell phone, and I did have talked to Mr. DeWitt about it, is our number one goal with positive school,
Culture,
Yeah.
climate that we want. And this is gonna be a big change for a lot of the kids when they walk in the door the first day of school, because they are not gonna know.
Yeah.
They're gonna get the handbook
Yeah.
prior.
They're not gonna-
We all know what happens.
Yes.
So, and just so we are prepared to, when we have that big meeting with everybody and to go over it, and people are gonna be like, what? I have to turn my cell phone off? It's gonna be a little confusing for a while. So just as long as we have a good plan in place.
I think that's huge for all of this. So you make policy, make a handbook, but it's how you do it. You know, how it actually goes into place is what determines the success of the policy. So
middle school, high school, I'll be meeting with each class in the first week. So we'll have class meetings in a more intimate setting, and we generally go through all of the major handbook things, and then we discuss it, and we let students even just air their rah, and then we talk about it, and we talk it through, and we usually have an hour meeting with each of the classes, and so that it won't just be in that huge group setting, but we'll have more intimate conversations with the classes. So.
We have there's always the open house first, like week before school or something like that, where we have it addressed in some way there.
We've been usually met with the middle school classes, and then the high school, we could touch on it at that meeting at the open house. Yeah.
Probably be part of our mailing
Yeah.
too that we send out before open house.
That's a good idea too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of that.
Yeah. One thing I need to apologize to the board, I should have highlighted as another significant change, I think that can affect some of the families, was we've changed the open lunch policy in the handbook.
Oh, yes.
And so if you're a senior, you have open lunch. We start with the privilege. We can remove the privilege if needed, but in the past it's been, you had to be a perfect Eagle Scout since you're a freshman to get it. So we're trying to honor our oldest kids.
And parents can always request.
Parents can not sign up.
Don't have it.
You have to sign up as a parent and stuff.
Good
But
call, good catch.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
big change. If you notice, a lot of that wording got taken out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of complicated language.
Yeah.
In there on how you can earn it.
Actually, it was a lot of work probably on the office to make
Yeah.
sure that,
Yes.
who's on the naughty list.
But being on the radio, I heard that. I mean, I understand a lot of people don't listen to the radio, but I definitely listen to the school news. And so that's beneficial. But would it be helpful if we had that Thursday night or whenever they have a call-in, I don't know what the radio calls it.
A conversation.
Community
Yeah.
conversations, I think.
So if we could just have like a one-sided conversation where we just tell everyone.
One-sided.
This is a new policy, we're trying to get this information out to everybody, and we don't, this might be an avenue that will reach more people than counting on people to read it.
I do think, and one thing I did do that I never do, is I actually used my personal Facebook because that's what people do. They ignore email, they ignore whatever. So I actually did do something and say, hey, just so everybody knows, and tagged kids and parents and said, this is gonna happen. It means no cell phone from 8 to 3:10.
And that
I
was
wanna
one-
make sure this is not a surprise to anybody the first day of school. And I provided Mr. DeWitt, Mr. Dorsett, please talk to them. And I actually got immediate responses back from people. Again, they were positive. I was shocked. I was expecting I would hear negative, saying, oh, well, how am I gonna be able to text my kid during the day? But I actually got positive responses immediately from parents, and I actually got a business owner that said, yep, I'd already talked to Mr. Dorr, and it works because texting for schedules and things, they could text when it's a break or during lunchtime. And so I got positive.
Good.
Now if you talk to my daughter, it's a very different of how reaction to the no cell phone thing. But my other big issue that I mentioned is consistency, because some teachers in their classroom have been perfectly fine with phones and some aren't. And so a big thing for me is modeling behavior, and thank you for putting the strict language in the employee handbook. Hey, you shouldn't be doing it in front of kids. I think that's huge. And it's consistency. So this just as important when the kids are getting their first day discussion. My next question to you is going to be, how are you going to communicate to all staff, not just faculty, all staff, the cell phone policy, the attendance, consistency, and the social media policy? Because those are, because it's huge, because I just think that this is gonna all go downhill quite fast if in so-and-so's classroom, we can do whatever we want, and we're not leaving them in our locker because we can come in and Snapchat 150 times during this time. So to me, the consistency is huge for me, and if we all know that this isn't gonna happen, as parents too, But I guess I'm telling you, I'm gonna be honest, that's one of my concerns is,
But we've been there before in the past, and it was with hacks. And there would
With
be
hacks.
teachers that would allow
Oh.
hacks and teachers who wouldn't.
Okay.
And what happens then? The kids see, oh, well, this is the rule, but the teacher says we don't have to follow it.
yeah.
It poisons the whole
It does.
atmosphere.
It
And
does.
we just went through that, and we are not going back. And heads will roll if these policies are not enforced. I mean, there's value to this
Yeah.
for our kids' education and their ability to focus.
Yeah, it's kind of a new thing as a society, So there's probably big push for technology, and phones are awesome, this is great, and and there's, we're starting to realize that there are some needs to learning how to shut it off for a bit, so.
I was just in a conversation with a retired union carpenter who was supervising filling out this last time. And the frustration, it was like an 8-story something or some commercial building, but the people, this was also talking about work ethic, they're all on their phones during the course of a workday, as opposed to
Focusing.
swinging a hammer or, being there to help hold up the end of the sheetrock or whatever it was. I mean, it's a real issue on many levels.
I think this all the time, sitting at home as a stay-at-home mom. I can be on Facebook, I'm employed by me because I'm a stay-at-home mom. And all the people that respond that they're at their job. Like, what are you doing all day on Facebook?
Oh, yeah.
I think this is my snarky thoughts in the back of my head, like almost every day. Why are you on Facebook? Why is even like my family members liking the 100 pictures I posted today? And it's not
They all
lunchtime
got
yet.
jobs. Yeah. And I think we should ban them from the Boundary Waters too, for that matter. The
Just
people are gonna have a wilderness experience.
Talk about the importance I feel with this personally is coming into this new. I was one of those guys who took 3 phones one day. The assistant principal's beautiful role. And I put those phones on my desk and I just watched them buzz all day. So I brought those kids in. I said, I'm gonna give you your phones today. I'm gonna give you your phones. I just wanted to ask you a few questions about use during the day. I said, how often during the day are you on social media during school? And the one kid didn't even blink. He's like, Mr. All day, we're all on it all day. I'm like, well, you're not supposed to have phones. It's like, Mr. Dorr, I got a sweatshirt, I'm here all day. I can text you in my pocket. I'm like, yeah, right. He goes, what's your number? So I gave it to him. I said, text me this. Wasn't even looking. Did it? Not a spelling error. So, and then some of the stories you read about on the news about these crazy things with phones, right? These really kind of dark, and it happens here. So we've had lots of things that have kind of been eye-openers for Mr. DeWitt and I. And so we do really feel strongly about this, and that we're going to be able to teach students better accountability and self-control. And so I just kind of wanted to add that, because I think sometimes when we read these stories in the news, we're like, well, that happens in that school, and it's here too. So I just kind of wanted to share it, because we're not trying to do this to be overly controlling. That's really not the intent, just to kind of protect our kids too, and help them to learn with less distraction. So.
Yeah, I think that's super great. We gotta help, this is sort of like a new frontier, so we gotta help them throttle the behavior, because who knows what, in 15 years, what the situation's gonna be. It's like, oh geez, I can't believe we let this happen, or whatever, or maybe not. But one thing that I kind of mentioned in some of my feedback to Mr. DeWitt, and I will sort of reiterate right now and encourage, is I think we should get creative on finding a positive reinforcement aspect to this. Like, maybe that's not the written policy, but it's something that we should try to do. Like, if there's no cell phone violations for a whole week, like, we're gonna have a pizza party, or we'll do a spot check, walk down the hallway during a time when people shouldn't have them, and if there are no cell phone violations, then we'll have a pizza bar, or whatever the reward is. I mean, I think that giving them something positive to work towards, and then you also are accountable to your peers and not just like the administration, you know, you're not only not doing it because you don't want to get in trouble, but you're also doing it to like, you know, for some sort of like positive thing to happen to you. Like can be, you know, pretty powerful for people to be rewarded for their behavior and not just always get in trouble for it. So I would just encourage that, you know, maybe something, you know, to think about. That, especially to Chris's point, you know, to kind of lessen the blow out of the gates, you know, all right, everybody, welcome to school. Here's the new rules.
Yeah.
You know, you could maybe soften that a little bit and be like, all right, this is what we're gonna do, and you know, this is not all bad. So something to think about, and you know, maybe we can come up with some sort of something that's meaningful and special without it being like, you know, a big expenditure or whatever, you know.
In the elementary, they do the caught you being good thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that would go over in middle school and high school.
Some of the stuff, you know, like the prizes, the PBS and the positive stuff is neat to do and to let them know and plan ahead. I liked your comment about it'd be fun, you know, hop on the intercom. Hey, I just walked through the hallway for 2 minutes and guess what? I saw no phones, everybody, whatever, you know. It's kind of fun, those little surprises make the day fun for kids, and they talk about that for weeks, so it's a good thought.
Early, you know, 3 minutes early.
Probably
Probably
can't
can't
do
do
work
that.
up here is kind of frustrating because you're writing these policies and this kind of stuff. And that's not how you want to operate your day, obviously. You want the day just to go great and then those things, so I appreciate the thoughts.
So on a larger scale, beyond the pizza party,
We're not supposed to reward with food. I'll tell you that. They talk about not rewarding with food.
no, but.
Wellness
but-
policy.
Sure.
But,
I like it though.
but how about a class trip or a class something or other?
Extra recess.
Extra recess, there you go. Play in the gym, do something, yeah.
But
Yes.
it's something larger than,
Yeah.
but I'm talking like at the end of the year. I mean, let's
Oh.
make it, the big picture is,
Yeah.
you guys are going to, I don't know.
The science museum.
Or they could leave some sort of legacy, you know, it's like if you did so good throughout the year, then we're gonna install a new piece of playground equipment, like in memory of that class, you
Oh,
know,
in
or
recognition
something.
of
Yeah,
that,
and
of
that's-
that. And it'll be a big cell phone they can climb on.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, the buttons push and,
Outdoor cell phone charge.
There.
but I think that would be I believe that the whole cell phone addiction is something that the school has an opportunity to moderate, or, I mean, I don't know exactly what it is, but we can, how to put it, but if kids don't, there are a lot of kids that are, like you know, they can't live without them. But there are many, you know, they got other things to do, or their parents can't afford it, so that puts them in a different social class, and they're the odd man out, so.
You can definitely see that too in the school when the kid doesn't have a cell phone. It's like looking over the shoulder.
So anyway, I think, and maybe have the kids come up with, once, you know,
Once the shock is over.
once the shock is over, elementary is, they're,
Yeah, it's middle school, high school
Middle
that
school, high
is gonna
school.
be a big challenge. And,
There you go.
well, maybe
Right.
we can have it so they can go out on the Yordis, or what's that other boat? Out in Lake Superior. That's the thing. If your class, and maybe it doesn't happen the first year, but they get a trip to Isle Royal as a class, or
You know how
something.
expensive these things are.
Yeah,
We should
I
probably.
thought pizza
set the
party was too
policy before we
expensive.
move forward.
Exactly.
that's true.
well, and I guess we'll see. Let's all regroup on this. Let's all talk again on the second week of school after it's been in for a week. But I do think it's important after we approve these that they do get out on our website and we communicate on our Facebook page that, hey, this is the policy. Make sure people know about the attendance
Communication
policy.
committee.
Yeah, the communication committee, it would be great to see a plan for what is gonna happen. And because it's a big thing. And also, the only other, like I said, the social media is I'm glad that we are specific on it. In the employee handbook, I appreciate that. I asked for some pretty specific language, because I just feel like we're violating data privacy when I'm seeing pictures inside happening in the school and of students on personal Facebook pages. I just, that doesn't sit well with me. And so it's very laid out very clearly now on what the expectations are. So I thank you for getting specific.
What do you think? Are we gonna get a sign, a neon sign or something that says enter, every, because we
Oh,
could.
a
At this
sign?
point, we're gonna have a sign that says entrance.
Well,
We'll see,
then
I mean. all the
we
time.
could have, you know, no guns, no alcohol.
No phones.
No phones. See what happens.
Yeah.
No cell phone.
No cell phones, no cell phones, yes.
Is there any sort of like student government, or is there any sort of like,
Student council.
Student
is,
council?
so is there, maybe that's some sort of avenue to, I mean, it is notable that there aren't any people here, like students included, like speaking up against these policies.
Yeah.
I'd hear them out, but, you know.
I've had a few of them.
They have, okay.
I think it's widely unknown still, even though we've had discussions.
It'll be known when it starts, you know.
Sure. okay.
And my daughter's working, otherwise she'd be here speaking
She would-
against it.
Yeah.
Passion.
Great passion.
She would be, but she's at work right now. But,
Sure.
and I said, you could write a letter, but, and her point is she does, she's gonna do online classes and she's gonna work. And so she can check what's going on with her class with her phone.
Mhm.
So there is kids that are doing other things that definitely, but she'll have to do it at lunch or she'll have to do it in between classes.
Isn't it not
as
during
everybody
lunch
else.
though? I thought there was no phones during lunch.
On your
Is
way
that-
to lunch. I'm saying during passing time. I wonder if you're gonna see an increase in tardies when people are at their locker checking things, but
It's only the way to lunch, so it'll help filter lunch in probably.
okay.
Yeah.
But
I think
definitely, I did, and I think Chris and.
We'll see more
Chris is
Chromebook
nice
use
with
and
you.
more iPad use for online classes, I think. We'll probably see more, you know, if they're in the
Yeah.
library studying, they might go to the computer more often to check grades or something.
Well, and teachers communicate via email. And so they'll say, come to my classroom during advisory. Well, guess how they get that by checking their email on their phone. At least that's what my kids have done. I also, they do things they shouldn't be doing too, but that's an example of use. So, but you're right, nobody's here.
You know what, I had, just subbing this year in one of the advisories, I had a student that I would never suspect of any lying or anything, and this student said, you know, can I use my phone to call my mom? I was like, you know, I just don't feel right going outside of policy. We're not really supposed to use our phones. I'm just not comfortable with that. Mom worked in the building, and I said to mom, or then we had a discussion like, I don't know, is that really how your mom wants your time spent? Would she really even approve of that? Or maybe she's just wants to text you so that you'll get it when you can see it, you know? When I got to the lunchroom and I happened upon mom who works in the building, I said, oh, how do you feel about this? She said, oh, this is a total lie from this like amazing honor student, you know, like I would never suspect any shenanigans from this student. Mom was in an uproar. I didn't mean to get student
That
X
poor
in
kid.
trouble, but so.
All right, so do we have any other thoughts, comments on any of the handbooks?
Positive changes. Thank you for your hard work.
Yeah.
Thanks for the feedback.
And I know you're gonna get some negative at some point, even if it's just from the students, it's gonna be. So thanks for your hard work.
We have to vote.
And this
Okay.
could be, you know,
Yeah.
this could be documented, little notes, and it could be a stand-up comedy skit at some point at the end of the year, like how
You're
did
talking
it
about
go?
a board meeting?
Board meetings.
That would be.
Yeah, board meetings. My life.
That was Deb White and her underlings' comments.
All right.
Okay. Mr. Serious.
Yeah, Chris wants me to take a vote here. Any other comments? Otherwise, I'm gonna. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Motion carries. 9.7, to approve long-term facilities maintenance, and
You have a long form in front of you. So this is our plan, this is the expenditure application piece. You can see that 2018 is the first column after the descriptions. And then 2019, that's actually what we're going to be asking the board to approve. But you can see in 2018, where the funds were, physical hazards, environmental health, safety management, so that's with our contract asbestos removal. We still have some that we know, go ahead.
You had asked me to put together what those categories are. The following pages in your board packet that are actually in the packet on screen kind of have a better description of things included in each category. So I took fiscal year 19 as an example. You're actually approving the whole 10-year plan, but we can change it, is basically what's happening.
So this, what are all these other hazardous materials, 4,000 and change in perpetuity, is that like just a placeholder, or do we have some sort of hazardous materials that we
It's a
generate?
placeholder. We
It's a
find something
placeholder.
every year.
It's a pretty fluid document.
Yeah.
Even what we have in for 2019, we write to the state and say, hey, we need to do X, Y, and Z thing. You can make the change. Physical hazards, playground surface, food code inspections, elevator, well, we don't have an elevator. For us, it's the mock OSHA corrections and PPE. Equipment, gloves.
Personal protection.
Yeah, personal protection. Under other hazardous, we have waste disposal for hazardous waste, so that's kind of our chemicals, oil, whatnot. Under environmental health, safety management, it's our consultation piece there, management assistance with our service co-op. We have some hepatitis B shots that we need to get for certain groups, CPR training, no, not CPR, first aid kits, AED for the batteries for those. For the asbestos floor tile, that's where we still have some asbestos, and we'll have some next year for the year following when we redo a couple of the hallways underneath. They have these, we call them 9-inch tiles, and so we know it's there, and we know that will be on our plan to remove. Fire safety, looking at our annual fire suppression and inspection, and then the fire marshal review. There's always something that we need to address there. Indoor air quality deals with our air handling repairs, improvements, anything that goes along there. Moving down, the next place that we have expenses moves down to number 382. And that's the professional services and salaries, and so we're able to put some of my salary, Tom Nelson's salary, and Lori's salary into there. Tom gets the largest portion because he does the majority of that in this area. We don't have a roof set up yet or any special site projects. So our total for proposed expenditures is 111. 542 for next year. This last year we spent 86,134. Our revenues coming in are at 189, so we are underneath that. So if something happens, say for example, well, we need to take something down, and then there's asbestos. Well, we do have funds available that we could go in and use those funds. So it's kind of like you can do, in a sense, kind of like a savings account, but it's specific in this area. One of the pieces when it was presented to us, when I say us, Lori had the presentation I did, by the state. Say, for example, we knew that in 5 years we need to replace a roof. We didn't have the bonds or anything, but we know we need to replace a roof. Well, we could put that under 383. We could start putting 50,000, 50,000, 50,000, 50,000. So then in 4 years, we got 200,000. We know the roof's going to be that, and we've already got it in the bank. Versus having to go to the taxpayers for this $200,000 expenditure, so we can plan ahead. So if we know this asbestos, we know there's asbestos. So if we know We're gonna do that in 2 years. Well, in 2 years down, in 2021, we may have a higher, it's not in here, but as an example. We know we're gonna do that removal of interior floors, so. So we approved the expenditure piece, and then the, like I mentioned, the revenue comes in at 189. So as I said, we're gonna have a little bit of savings in there, kind of a contingency amount. And so you're approving as a board both the expenditure component, which, as I mentioned, is a more fluid document, and as Member Shirley mentioned, we have placeholder values going out.
Lori, why is there $3,000 difference in the fire category in our packet on the, I guess, 363, the fire safety? Why didn't we use the extra 3,000? Put it in there somewhere.
Which one are you talking about?
383, the fire safety, there's 8,000 is for our budget, but remaining, or we could use 10,000, is that what I'm seeing? And then 2,000 for the review?
Are you on the colored?
Yes, the colored
product?
packet, yes.
Just because I was trying to keep it to a reasonable expense and looking at what we might have spent this year, and I haven't quite finished spending this year, you know. This is 19's.
Right, yeah, I mean, I understand that, I just thought
Yeah.
all the other ones kind of all match up. I
Right.
was wondering if
I
that-
think I changed the first column and not the second
Maybe
column.
not the second column there.
Because I was trying to keep it in a certain number
Mhm.
on the health and safety. I also have to put these in on the health and safety website on MDE. And I was trying to make them match this spreadsheet, because this is what I'm gonna get sent in, and so I didn't catch the other column. So. And really, up until a couple months from now, I'm still paying bills from 2018,
Mhm.
so I can still change the 2018 numbers on the health and safety website with MDE. And they actually have to match my actual expenses exactly. So I think that's what this is saying.
Okay.
I budgeted, I don't have any expenses yet because it's 2019 and then remaining budget, so there's just instead of doing the math, I just changed one column and didn't change the other.
Should we change that then? I mean,
So
should-
the document you're actually, that I have to send in to
That-
MDE
it's
is this one.
Okay.
And then the other revenue piece.
Yeah.
I used this page as an example to show you what's inside of all those different
Okay.
codes.
Do we approve this every year?
Yep. And we can change it during the year too if we have some big, huge issue come up.
Okay.
And I need to send to MDE and say, oh, our roof blew off in a storm.
No, like, if you look in the center, finance codes, the 358, 363, and 366. Mind you, they're also a category finance code above.
Mhm.
That little section in the middle is, say for example, something changed or something happened in our sprinkler system, we had to redo that. And it's over 100,000, that would go into this category. And we have to have approval from MDE for that project because it's over $100,000. And then that would be on top of our long-term facilities maintenance as it stands right now. And so that would be for a specific project that it would go on the levy. That would fall into there. Another one is you go down 355, that's specific, and we're a district that would be eligible for it. So say, for example, we need to do some construction for our pre-K program. Say, for example, we have a room and we need to divide it in two. Well, we could use this funding mechanism for pre-K.
And so these are levied
This is all levied.
all levied.
Mhm.
So we, so that's why we are.
The revenue's not, I mean, it's all levy dollars, but it's not anything that I can change.
Okay.
Unless it's a project over 100,000 and we're gonna go out.
That would be
And then we
something
have to ask,
specific.
we have to ask for,
Right.
okay,
This is, the rest of our is just based on our student population, right?
okay, thank you.
So that, the bottom line number, that's tied to, is that tied to something?
On the revenue side, yes.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
This is our student population.
Gotcha.
Lots of different formulas in there.
And also
Sure.
the ages of our building age is another form. I mean,
Yeah, if you
it's
read
a-
that form, the one form, I started reading through there. It's, debt service or existing all plans, this model minus the gross before debt excess, for example.
Yeah.
And,
Oh.
and
You gotta find it
MD,
from here and find it from here, and get these three numbers and you get this new number.
and MDE kinda just defers our judgment on what we need to do here, provided it's not over a certain amount.
Yep.
Correct, but when it hits that, and $100,000 is their
Yep.
mark, then we have to have specific plans, and they have to approve it.
Okay.
And then we levy for that amount, and then, say, for example, you levy for $150,000, and then the project comes in with 130, well, there's $20,000, that should then go back and reduce your levy the following levy cycle that we would be giving back.
What they call, and what this is commonly referred to right now, the way we're running the program, is we're living within our means. We're doing projects, little projects that are under our revenue threshold, and they call it, and then we're actually kind of creating a savings there for future projects by not spending beyond what our revenue is. So that is the plan at this point in time until something might happen or break or.
But it's a restricted fund, you
Yeah.
can't use that money to go buy a t-shirt.
No, sure.
It's, has to be something that goes into one of these categories.
I need a motion to approve this.
I'll make that motion to approve the long-term facilities maintenance plan.
I'll second it. Okay, any other questions? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Motion carries. 9.8 to approve MSBA policy revisions.
Which is in our packet.
Which should be in our
It is in your
here.
packet, yes.
Don't.
It's.
Make a motion to approve.
Second that.
All right, discussion?
Just for the board, it states the summary of changes for all these. A lot of them are based on new legislation. In some cases, it's just the fact that, policy 403, it has a new reference because of legislation. They change the numbers. Those are some of the things. The very first one, for example, is a policy 102. The definition of sexual orientation in the Minnesota Human Rights Act includes gender identity and expression. So it added that. So some definition, and those are things that happen. They took a word out, they added a word. So any type of changes like that, they're not substantial changes to the policy. Doesn't change the meaning of the policy, but just either addition or subtraction to, or legislative requirement is what is taking place in all of those.
I like policy 421.
Clarifies award recognition plaque, a $5 or less resale value
You
may be
can
accepted.
accept them.
To school board members or employees.
Yes.
Are you looking for $5?
If you give me a plaque, make it small.
Yeah, make it small.
'Cause I can't have a resale myself.
The resale value, you like that, yeah.
Wait a minute. What does that mean? So that means if we have an outstanding teacher, we can't get them a $6 bouquet? I
Yeah,
mean,
it's the resale value.
Resale
It's
value.
gotta be less than $5.
Yeah.
So they can't turn around and sell that $6 bouquet.
That-
They can't sell it for more than $5.
Yes.
huh. Huh.
Really what it's getting to is when, say, any of us go and attend, like MSBA. They do their conference and workshops, and they have all the vendors. Well, the vendors can't just go, oh, here, start throwing stuff at you.
They do, you
They-
get like
they
a
do,
Hershey's
but
kiss
they-
from everyone.
You get a Hershey Kiss, but it's usually the miniature size. Everything is, but
Yeah.
it has to be under $5. Yeah. And that's what this, you get your bag full, so you have about $500 worth of stuff. But you have
From each
100 items.
individual person.
We don't want to buy anyone off.
Yeah, where in the past, you could have these salespeople come in and the Lord does this, is, hey, we've got Twins tickets. You want to go to the Twins game this year?
And I have to turn that.
Oh,
And you have to say no. Though, just tell you the truth, say for example that happened. Actually, people who work for the boilers for the 2 Hours High School, that does happen. So what we do is we take those and we send a broadcast out to the entire staff. Anybody who's interested, we're gonna have a drawing.
Yeah.
We have 2 tickets to the Twins game. Anybody who's interested can put their name in, and that's legal. Do it in that manner. For example, and I've attended these, and actually I was a recipient once where it's a raffle kind of a thing, and I won a light for the school district. Became the school district's property. At Masbo, I know same thing, business manager in Lake Superior, he won $500 for the school district. But it went to the school district, it was not.
Oh, right.
Or to the individual.
Yeah. And so those tickets were given to the school district, and so open them up. That's actually relatively new, it's probably within the last 4 years that this was extended to teachers and administrators in school and school board members.
At the training that I attended this winter, the way they put it was, if somebody offers you some sort of gift and you think you might like it, you might want it, then you should probably turn it down. Then it's probably beyond the threshold of okay. Like, oh, that sounds nice. No.
So those are the information in the policy, it's
Yeah.
specific to the one that Mr. Devil was very interested in.
Yeah, a lot of light reading you could do if you would like to just catch up on all these policies that they have available.
Well, they have, I went through, maybe you guys already covered this, sorry, while I stepped out, I was dying. On the MSBA website, they have like a red line of all of these, so you can see the changes, which was pretty helpful. And it's not like that long, there's a bunch of them, but the changes are pretty small.
Yeah.
One thing that I would mention is, if we do adopt these, and I've noticed this on some of the policies that we do have on the site, there's like little notes on there, and not every, like, as the model policy, they sort of throw in everything, and it's like, if this is applicable to you, then, you know, it seems like some of that stuff it's just sort of like house cleaning business, like some of that stuff should probably, when we adopt it as our policy, get like deleted out of there, or the extraneous stuff that's like not relevant to us, because I just find it to be a little bit confusing, especially for somebody who's gonna like just reference the policy. It's like, or it gives you examples, you could approach it like this, or like this, or like this, or like this. That's not the policy, that's like examples of how to like guide you to making your policy. You know what I mean? So I realize it's a big task to go through all those and kind of clean that up, but it might be worth doing at least like here and there, just to like start tackling it.
Yeah, we can pull up 1 or 2 and kind of go through them, and sometimes it can be quick, so
Yeah.
we're gonna have a little bit more discussion.
Yeah.
Because the board is the policy committee.
Yeah.
That's the entire board.
And for a while, we were reviewing policies, like we would review a chunk.
we'll get some on for our next meeting as a.
I mean, and I don't know, honestly, I couldn't tell you what the rhyme or reason was of what ones we ended up reviewing, but then we cleaned them up. We made sure it said, because we were using, some said Cook County Schools, some
Right.
said,
And that's because we changed them.
yeah, and so some, and then on the corner, you know, it said, it actually put the date in there that we adopted them and not the generic MSBA
Right.
thing, so, like I said, I'm not exactly sure.
Jeannie and Terry were the two that were doing those policies.
Yeah, and well, and then they came to us, remember, we had to
Yeah.
review them and then we approved them, and so, I don't know if that's like a recommendation, like a best practice, I'm not sure, but, I don't know if I'm necessarily advocating tackling all those, but maybe there is some, maybe there's a list of
There are a
ones
few
that
that
they
we have to-
say
we have to
you
review
should,
every year, so.
yeah. So,
Well, that's the kind of thing I would even, you know, if we had like a subcommittee or like, I would be happy when it's not the middle of July to August, kind of scan through and do a track change if I had like a Word document and just be like, you know, this is extraneous, and just as like a starting point we could look at. Cause it would be nice to go into a meeting like that, rather than us being like, everybody's gotta read it right now and that we
Yeah.
gotta mark it up.
yeah.
Just for that housekeeping stuff, not like substantive things.
I think having Dan do it is a great idea.
I do too.
I agree.
But that would probably be pending re-election in a year.
Yeah, pending the election, that's what you can.
Cause I don't have time to do that until then, so.
You'll be campaigning, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
If ever you find out we're gonna have him do a lot of things, he's gonna be voting no for sure.
Exactly.
Right.
He volunteered himself.
All right, any other comments on discussion on those MSD policy revisions? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Motion carries. Okay, 9.9. I need a motion to approve the resolution authorizing the issuance and awarding the sale of tax abatement bond series 2018A as it's stated in the board packet, which is right here.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it. Okay, discussion.
You can see it's for $64,000 general obligation tax abatement bond, so this is a bond for the parking lot.
And this is what we had discussed back in June.
Yes.
Steve Bumper's presentation, yes.
Yes.
So he sent us up all these documents with all the updated information.
Stillwater's buying it.
I'm sorry.
Stillwater's buying it.
Yeah. There you go. That's what you wanted to know.
Who's buying it?
Who's buying it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. All right, any other, discussion?
Just so I could be more knowledgeable on this, how is this like an abatement? Cause my understanding was like a tax abatement was like you don't pay the tax. Is that just like a word that is not very descriptive here, or what does that mean?
The county, so we are buying, taxpayers are paying, it doesn't have to go for a vote because of the, public purpose of all of our parking lots. I'm not really sure about the word abatement there.
When it was described to me today, it was actually today, the only thing that really qualifies at the state has been parking lots. Because it's all about improving the value for your surrounding area, of your neighborhood you're in. And when it got down to it, the only thing that the state has ever approved has been upgrade to parking lots. Why the word abatement, I don't have an answer on that, but that's where they're at for,
Because if you
Why it's parking.
if you like Google it, you know, then you get all this stuff about like, it's basically you applying to like not pay a certain amount of your taxes for some reason, you know, whatever, like that's like that. So I was just wondering like, why is this called a tax abatement when that's, because it's not us not paying a tax. That's not like increasing our revenue by us not paying a tax.
No.
Because we don't pay property taxes, right? So we're, okay, all right, I was just kind of curious, it's just
I can get you.
I'm just curious, okay.
I Googled
Any,
it.
any other discussion? On this? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Motion carries. 9.10 to approve propane bid from Superior Fuel Company. That's in our packet.
Make a motion to approve.
I will second it.
so board members, you actually have 3 bids in your packet. There's a Superior Fuel Company bid. They were at $1.031 for 110,000 gallons until June 30th, 2019. The next 2 bids, one is from Como and one is from North Shore Oil and Propane. They have the exact same bid at 120,000 gallons, so $10,000 gallons more at the price of $1.179, almost 18 cents, $1.18 fixed through the end of April next year. And so, talking to Mr. Nelson, his recommendation is the recommendation before you to go with the Superior Fuel Company.
Do you have any idea when this starts? Does it start in August, September, anybody?
Oh, when we start needing fuel?
This-
Right.
when does it
When
take
is our
effect?
last, right now we're with Como, I believe,
North Shore.
or NSOP,
Okay.
which they're together now anyways, but.
That's what
So-
it's the exact same.
Right, so NSOP,
Yeah.
when does their contract end and when does this new one start?
I'm not sure, is it?
They may be done, their contract.
I didn't know if
Like
the
that.
dates in here.
Because this one says, through 4/30/19, so I mean,
Mhm.
on Como's, I guess, and, yeah. The other one says until June 30th, 2019, so maybe, I guess my concern is with Superior Fuel, and I wish Tom was here so I could ask him these
I
questions.
do not believe we have a current contract with any. Right now, what we've done.
Is there
is we-
lack of service that I have seen out in
Oh,
the
with
community?
Superior?
Yes, with, if something breaks down or something happens or whatnot, and I guess that would be my concern. It's a $16,000 difference over 110,000 gallons, which is a lot of money. But, I mean, I know if Tom recommends it, I'd be fine with it, but I'm also wondering,
Mhm.
Your concern,
I've
please.
heard that.
the concern is, are they gonna be here? Are we
Right.
gonna get the fuel? That's my concern. So my question is, that's why, my
Mhm.
question would be, does it need to start today, or can we wait until Tom's here and ask him
Oh.
next month?
Sure.
I don't know.
I don't-
Well, we shouldn't need a fill before a month. I would hope we're not running that low.
Well, even if we do need to fill, I'm sure NSOP/Como, whoever
We'll fill it.
would fill it.
Yeah, we're right now, and that's what we're doing, if we needed any.
And I believe last year's price from NSOP was $1.
$1 or
Yeah,
something.
it was
really
real,
cheap.
it was real close to the Superior Fuel, so there was, went up this year. And my question would be to Tom was, can you beat that? Can you beat your proposal? You wanna try again? Can you,
Is that ethical?
That's all.
when you build a science room, bid came in too high. You guys wanna retry? They come back and then it's lower. So stuff happens. I mean, I don't know if it's ethical or
Yeah.
not.
Well, will it be an actual contract that, like an exclusive contract that we would?
We'd lock the price in.
We would lock the price in with them, so we.
And do we have like a minimum guarantee that we'll buy from them? Like in
Well,
order
this
to
price
access
is
that
guaranteed
pricing?
for the 110,000.
Right, but do we have to, they'll guarantee it up to 110,000, but does that require us to buy at least 80,000 or something? You know what I mean?
Exclusively, are they our
Right,
exclusive
like,
supplier?
is there something that like ropes us into like making sure we buy a certain amount from them? You know what I mean? To
Probably
get
not.
that pricing.
Probably not, but we always have, I'm
Sure.
sure. They do it for a year.
Yep.
Well, and do you have to agree to this? I mean, is there like an expiration date on this proposal? I don't know, I don't
Usually
buy,
none of
I
them
don't buy
say.
propane, so I don't know.
It doesn't say anything about an expiration date.
But service is really important.
Mm-hmm. Right, what do you get for that 16,000, or what do you not get for not spending that 16,000?
Just for service, you know, we were getting Como and we had North Shore Oil and Propane come up and do service for us.
Right.
Well, but that's, well,
I do remember having this conversation last year about this, and the reason why we picked one or the other had to do with service. So Chris, you have a very good point.
And that was over Como, actually.
Yeah, so that's why
mhm.
I guess I echo your hesitation, because, I don't know. I
We
don't-
need Tom here.
And right now, we have a little bit of an unknown because the North Shore has new owners.
Yeah,
Well,
And it's the same
Como.
owners that Como has.
yeah.
Yes.
it's no longer locally owned.
Well, and that's probably why they have the same price.
Yeah, they're only, it's the same parent
It's
company.
the
of
same email, it's the
Tom-
So-
format is the same, it's
Superior?
from the same person. Jason DeRosia, it signed both of these.
Well, that's really
Is
funny.
Superior locally owned? No, so there are no locally owned propane providers.
I would like to table it until next,
Actually, just look at that.
or vote it down, and then have to because, yeah, have to go back out and get it again.
Okay.
Not that we wanna, you know, $1 a gallon is a good price.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We don't wanna hopefully go up after this month and maybe go, oh, now it's gonna be $1.20.
Yeah.
But I have concerns on service, and you know, things break down when it's 25 below.
Mm-hmm.
And where are they gonna come from to service this? Como still has a service here, and SOP's out of Silver Bay, Superior's out.
So you look at the Como quote and it says, we appreciate the quote your LP needs. It does not include any
Right.
line testing, vaporizing servicing, or other maintenance work you may or may not need.
It's just
It's
the fuel.
just, yeah, so if we just do fuel with them, when you say service, are you talking about delivery of gas, or are you talking about
Both.
service?
I'm
So
talking about
service,
both.
we could probably go with anything.
Sure, you're gonna, the problem is if we went with Superior Fuel and all of a sudden something happened and we need something done today, who do you call? You call Superior Fuel, come up and fix this.
Right.
They're out of Superior. Como was out of Grand Marais still, they still have a Grand Marais office.
Oh, they do?
Yes.
Mhm.
There's still locals that work for Como in this area. And SOP is up here all the time. Superior Fuel is up here all the time. They're filling up residential and commercial properties. So-
And professionally, I mean, we North Shore Oil and Propane has been, for service is why that's our recommendation, always. Because when do things go awry? January, 2:00 in the morning.
Christmas Eve.
So.
So, yeah, you want those people, and they come, they've never failed us for our customers. So,
Okay, well,
Again, if Tom was here, maybe we could ask him, he would enlighten us and.
Yeah.
So, that's my thought.
Well, if we're gonna do a switch in companies, there may be like
Can
an
we call 'em?
infrastructure change too, cause are they
Call
our
'em.
tanks or are they
That's
their
another question,
company's
yeah.
tanks? Cause
Who's-
it's like, they're not gonna
Oh,
fill
yeah,
Como's
that's
tanks.
right.
Como's gonna
They
say,
gotta
we're
change
gonna
out
take
the
our
tanks.
tanks back.
And isn't with Superior, you buy your tanks? You then own the
Most of the
tank?
companies would buy your tanks now.
Thank goodness for a cell phone.
Hey, Mr. Nelson. I'm calling you from the boardroom. I'm gonna put you on speakerphone. We were debating an agenda item on the propane. Hang on. Oh. I should have turned my volume down.
Yeah, I'm getting better this far. Okay, here we go.
Way to interrupt the guy's vacation.
Hey, Tom, you there?
I'm here.
All right, so some of the questions that concern are concerns of service. We see your recommendation for the Superior Fuel Company. One of the questions is if something happens at 2 in the morning when it's 20 below out, is Superior gonna come and fix it?
They told me, I mean, we always can wait on this and I can verify some more, but they did tell me they have service people that can take care of us. We've never dealt with them, so I don't know. I can certainly ask more questions.
What are we doing right now is another question. Are we currently on a contract with North Shore or with Como?
We are currently on we pay like $900 a year for a contract for maintenance on our vaporizers with Como.
Is that something that will continue?
No, I think if we switch vendors, I'm pretty sure they would not stay with us.
Okay, so another question that came up from board members was about the tanks. Are we going to be purchasing tanks, or do we already own tanks?
All I was inquiring about was the school.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the 18,000 gallon tank that we own.
All right, so we already own our tank, okay.
Yeah. So the bus garage would still be set up with North Shore. Just on our normal, just like the residential, whatever those rates are.
Okay.
We can obviously we can switch every time, but we don't have a volume that they would do a contract with us.
All right.
What, does he know what the the use on the bus garage is? Like they know?
What's our annual use in the bus garage approximately?
Well, we just had last year, and I think total dollars was right around $3,000, $3,500, and Lori might be able to answer that.
So like 3,000.
But it wasn't huge amounts. That took place, during construction. We were burning a bunch of propane when the building was still under construction to keep everything warm inside.
Right.
So we're going to need to go for probably this winter and be able to get any real numbers on what it's going to take over there.
Tom, do you need this approved tonight? Do you need us to approve?
I don't think we need to approve it tonight. I can always go back out and see how long it was valid. I didn't. I guess I wish I was there and I could have obviously got answers. So no, we don't need to do it tonight, and I can contact both vendors again on Monday and just do it again and have everything set up for next week. They didn't indicate that they seen any big changes in pricing, and there may be. I think it was Como and North Shore gave their bids probably 2 weeks ago, and we just got our bid from Superior yesterday. So whether that pricing dropped that 14 cents a gallon in that 2 weeks is possible.
Yeah. The other question, or concern is, okay, so we put this up in August, is it going to go back up?
Correct, and I don't know, we don't know that, but I mean, the question is valid on where are we sitting as far as maintenance goes, or what happens with our system, and I can certainly, maybe you just put that off for a month and let me ask more questions. We know what we have with a company here local, but I don't know that the savings from this year compared to what we paid last year would be $25,000. And could we get a contract with somebody for obviously way less than $25,000, I believe we could. You know what I mean?
Yep,
Oh, for service?
yep.
Yeah, because we paid, well, one of them is, well, actually, I shouldn't say that. We paid $1.10 last year, so that's $7,000. I think it was $1.17 that Como has up to $1.03, which is $14,000. So, I mean, there's a big enough difference there that I think we could find somebody that would take care of us without reaching that, but we have dealt with Como for, well, as long as I've been in this position, so, and we've never had a problem, so. Maybe we do, maybe put it off and let me ask more questions, and I'll be at the next board meeting and hopefully have all the answers for you.
Great, and I'll ask the board members that if they have any specific questions of you, that they will email you those.
Yep, perfect, and I can, whatever questions they have or want me to ask, I certainly will, and then we'll have all the answers for them next board meeting.
Great.
Thanks,
Okay.
Tom. Sorry to bug you. Thank you.
No problem, thank you.
Yeah.
Win something for us.
Less
Don't
than
win too
$5.
big.
Less than $5.
Okay. In light of his advice here,
Yes.
so.
Move that to the August agenda, move this.
Well,
item.
should we already have a motion on the table though, so.
Can we rescind our motion?
Or we can vote on it and we can vote no. This is where I'm,
What's-
I
I
look-
can't remember, we had this information. Pam had this.
on what you should do when you've got a motion on the table. I know, I'm looking for my, reference.
Was all abstained.
I'm looking for my, yeah. I think we can. I'm not perfect on my
recall?
Roberts Rule
I'm-
of Orders.
I'm Googling it.
Cause we can postpone, but when you already have it,
Yeah, we could all abstain.
or we can rescind it. We can rescind,
You'll make a motion to rescind the motion.
bring a question again, and then you can rescind it.
A motion to rescind is used to cancel a motion altogether. The motion to amend something previously adopted is used to make a change to a motion, either by making a simple change or two, by substituting something else in its place.
So I
So
make a motion
rescind.
to rescind our last motion to approve
Propane.
Superior Propane Company.
I'll second it.
Okay. Wait, rescind, motion to rescind, Jansen seconded to rescind motion of approved propane bid for Superior Fuel. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Okay, motion carries, so we rescinded that motion. And we will have on our August meeting. Okay. The next is personnel items. 10.0 to approve resignation of high school language arts teacher Stephanie Lundorf.
Make a motion to approve, to accept resignation.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? There's a letter, she provided a letter in her packet.
Best wishes to her in her retirement.
Yes. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Motion carries. 10.2 to approve the hire of high school language arts teacher Samantha Savoy at 1.0 FTE BA/A. There's information in our board packet.
Thank you for updating it to add licensure.
Make Motion to approve?
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion?
You took away my big question.
Great, can speed right through these. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Motion carries. 10.3 to approve work agreement for technology director Lisa Bauer.
Make a motion to approve work agreement for Lisa Bauer.
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion?
Very good employee, doing great things, and look forward to continuing having her as a valued staff member.
Great.
She's so positive. Just a big smile on her face all the time.
Effervescent.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Motion carries. 10.4 to approve the resignation of school counselor Megan Trumper. And the resignation letter is in our packet.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
How are we looking?
Yeah,
We have 2 interested parties right now.
okay.
Hope maybe you'll have interviews soon.
I'm available.
Yes.
For the position?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, sidetrack.
You doing your,
No.
doing your hat in the ring? All right.
Yeah,
And
it's
if
like.
either one of them can paddle?
Yeah.
Dan's available.
It's a,
Yeah.
it's a,
They'll be on the water.
yeah, it's an important position, so obviously
Very.
we wanna have that, we want every teaching position filled, obviously, as soon as possible, so. Okay, any other comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, please say nay. Motion carries. Anything else? I look at the superintendent to make sure, sometimes you have something to add at the end.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Okay. Get
I'll
all the-
second that.
Motion to adjourn.
Quick,
Or you could-
Okay,
or
at
you could think of
7:12 PM, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, please say nay. Motion carries. And we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Just
That book
reminder.
that I
Do I
gave
We
you
need to
guys,
sign.
that-
Yep, we need to
the
sign.
working class, it talks about jumping from the working class to the middle class, to the people with money, and I was thinking about our one student who's gonna be going to